What is on tap for this episode of Couz's Corner? We're talking the value of Power 5 institutions in the world of conference realignment. We're also going to compare West Virginia's value to some other schools that are ranked ahead of West Virginia on a rankings put out by Pat Forde of SI.com. I'm going to tear that rankings apart and let you know why West Virginia is rated way too low. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college sports knowledge. Let's go. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz, and welcome in to another edition of Couz's Corner. So pull that chair up and let's dig in. Yes, we're talking about the value of Power 5 programs. We're talking about a rankings that Pat Forde of SI.com put out of all 69 Power 5 programs. And yes, I said 69. We know it's 65 currently, counting Notre Dame. But he's going to include BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston in his rankings because they will be a Power 5 team by 2023. So let's look at the criteria that Pat Forde used. He used football ranking by taking a 5-year average of the Sagarin ratings from 2017 to 2021, using only the current and future Power 5 schools. Now, one of the issues I have with this is he only used the Sagarin ratings. He didn't use anything else. Questionable. You look at the academic ranking. He only used U.S. News and World Report for these rankings. The rankings I'm going to show you is an average of U.S. News and World Report and Wall Street Journal. All sports ranking. He looks at the Learfield Directors Cup Division standings for 2021 and 2022 academic year. There again, he's only looking at one season. So how accurate is it if you look over time? Because these conferences and networks are not going to look at just a snapshot of one season. They're looking back in time and historically and where the program is going. Are they on the rise? Are they on the fall? Where are they going? Football attendance. I don't know why football attendance even matters. I mean, obviously, yes, it sells tickets and helps out the schools and maybe even the conferences. But this is all about TV network ratings. It's all about TV viewership, and it's all about markets. It's all about eyeballs. I don't know that football attendance really helps with that. And then you look at broadcast viewership, total number of games. He looked at total number of games that received at least 1 million viewers between 2017 and 2021, and he threw out the COVID year. Then the rankings I'm going to use comes from Mr. Tony Altimore, who I will link to in my description box. I'll link you to his Twitter account at TJ Altimore. I get a lot of my data from him. You've seen him on a lot of other shows as well. Does some very valuable work, and he uses multiple data sets. He doesn't just use one metric. He will use multiple metrics when he does his analysis. So I feel like his is probably more accurate than what Pat Forde's doing. But in Pat Forde's defense, he's a reporter. So, he probably doesn't have the time to spend digging up all these numbers, and he may not even have access to some of the numbers. But I digress. Let's look at the rankings. This is the redneck version of YouTube editing right here, folks. Obviously, 1 through 10. Only surprise I see 1 through 10 is Alabama's actually number 10. I thought Alabama would be much higher than that. Obviously, they're number 1 ranked in football, but their other criteria is ranked lower. One thing I have a problem with the way Pat Forde did these rankings is he weighted every criteria the same. Like he weights academics the same as he ranks football, and he ranks it the same as he ranks attendance. He ranks it all equally. I don't think you can do that because some of these things don't really move the needle for a network, like attendance, for example. Academics. Now, while academics does matter to conferences, I don't think you can weight it equally to TV viewership in the football rank. So I think that's why he has Alabama at 10 here. Obviously, I would put Alabama probably top 2 or 3, if not number 1. But you see here his top 10 is Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Texas, Georgia, Florida, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, USC, Alabama. You go all the way down here. Clemson's at 16. Just some notable names here. Oregon is at 22. There's been some debate about Oregon. Washington's at 15. Those are some schools that have been, in the conversation for potential conference expansions. Where's West Virginia at? Oh, I don't know. Oh, there they are. 48th. Are you freaking kidding me? 48th. He has Wake Forest above West Virginia. Give me a freaking break. He has Pitt 2 spots above West Virginia. The only reason that bothers me is because it's Pittsburgh and it gives Talk is Pitt and these other fans something to talk crap to me about on Twitter. But that, 2 spots, not that big a deal. But Wake Forest? Really? Really, dude? Wake Forest, better than West Virginia. More valuable than West Virginia. I have a hard time believing that. Purdue's ahead of West Virginia. Virginia Tech's ahead of West Virginia. Not that big of a surprise there, actually. Virginia is ahead of West Virginia. That one I have a hard time with. In North Carolina ahead of West Virginia. My good friend Tar Heel. I'm actually going to compare West Virginia and North Carolina in this video, so we will see who actually is the most valuable team, okay? Now, when you look at the rankings I did, you look at this spreadsheet, and what you'll notice is I picked Wake Forest, UNC, Virginia Tech, UVA, and Pitt. Now, the reason I picked Wake Forest is obviously because they were ranked one spot ahead of us in Pat Forde's rankings, and I thought it was absolutely ludicrous, so I wanted to compare us. I picked UNC because they've been in a lot of conference realignment talk, a lot of rumors about them potentially going to either the Big Ten or the SEC. Same thing with UVA. And with Virginia Tech, they've been in a little bit of discussions there as far as going to potentially a realignment candidate. But I mainly picked them because they're a rival of West Virginia, and I just wanted to do the comparison. And I picked Pitt, obviously, because they're a huge rival of West Virginia, and I wanted to do a comparison with them as well. So you look at these statistics here, and I used numbers given to me by Mr. Tony Altimore. Like I said before, I'll link to his Twitter account in my description box. Tony uses multiple data points. He uses multiple metrics. He doesn't just use one metric. He'll take multiple metrics, and he'll use a longer period of time than what Pat Forde did in a lot of cases. So I feel like his data is probably more accurate. But here's what, using Tony Altimore's data, here's what I come up with. Now, with academics, what I did was took the average of the U.S. News and World Report rankings and the Wall Street Journal rankings and averaged them together, whereas Pat Forde only used U.S. News rankings. Obviously, West Virginia is still going to fall way behind the other schools there. That's no secret. We all know West Virginia, not high academic ratings, because their goal is to educate as many students in the state of West Virginia as possible. The state of West Virginia is a poor state economically, and they want to educate as many students as possible to help prepare them for the future. And in order to do that, they have to accept a lot of students that other schools don't. You look at average TV viewers per week. West Virginia, 1.3 million, tied with Virginia Tech, who also has 1.3 million. And they beat all the rest of them. I mean, Wake Forest only gets 400,000 viewers per week. So what kind of value are they bringing to anybody? UNC gets 700,000. Virginia Tech, like I said, 1.3 million. UVA, 600,000. Pitt, 800,000. Average fan base size rank. West Virginia, 30th. Wake Forest, 85th. UNC, 31. Virginia Tech, 23. UVA, 53. Pitt, 47. So there again, West Virginia beats everybody except Virginia Tech. As you can see a theme here if you're looking at this chart. If you're looking at it on the video version here, Virginia Tech actually beats West Virginia in every category, which surprised me. So kudos to Virginia Tech doing a really good job as a school and as an institution and as an athletic department. They beat West Virginia in every category. So they would be an attractive expansion candidate in my opinion. I'm not going to lie to you. You look at average fan base size rank. You look at that football 5-year rank. West Virginia is 34th. Wake Forest is 80th. UNC 65th. Virginia Tech 32. UVA 85. And Pitt 54. Now, keep in mind, the 5-year rank, it's not just how good you are on the field. It takes everything into account. It takes, I think it looks at your budget. Tony used like 10 different data points, 10 different metrics when putting these numbers together. I don't know what all 10 of them are, but it should be it should be pretty darn accurate by using that many data points. Now, I'm going to throw in here a couple things that Pat Forde used in his rankings: all sports ranking and game attendance. Now, I don't understand how this really matters when you're looking at the value of a school. The only thing I can tell is with game attendance, the only thing I can tell is with all sports ranking, if you're starting a conference network maybe and you need to look at what you can air besides just football and basketball. But at the end of the day, we all know that football drives a bus. They're called non-revenue sports for a reason. They don't bring in any revenue. The football program at these schools supports everything else pretty much, and basketball as well. Men's basketball is also part of that equation. But those are the two revenue sports. Everything else is non-revenue sports. So they're not bringing in any value. So I don't really even understand why Pat Forde would include that. And not only did he include it, but he gave it equal weight. You look at market size, the Pittsburgh media market is the 26th largest market in the country. West Virginia and Pitt kind of share that amongst themselves, and then also Penn State has a presence there as well. And when you look at West Virginia, they basically get the media market for the entire state of West Virginia. Now, it's not a big state. We only have a little less than 1.8 million people, but West Virginia basically gets them all. So you're getting the whole state if you get West Virginia, plus the Pittsburgh market, plus a pocket of the Washington D.C. market, and a few others around it. So you're getting more than just the state of West Virginia. You're also getting Pittsburgh and a little bit of Washington D.C. Now, when you look at these other schools, the Virginia Techs, the Virginias, UNCs, the Wakes, the ACC schools, their immediate media markets aren't that big, really. But what you got to keep in mind is, for example, UNC, they're in the state of North Carolina. Wake Forest is in North Carolina. North Carolina is the 10th largest state in the country as far as population, and it's growing rapidly. So it's a very attractive state right now. The state's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to gain population, which means more eyeballs, right? More eyeballs you can get on your games. So I think that's one thing that makes UNC so attractive. And then also you look at their academic numbers are good. But UNC is the flagship school of the state. I think that helps. And then you look at Virginia and Virginia Tech. I think what makes them attractive, not only are they strong academically, and in the Virginia Tech's case, athletically, but neither the SEC nor the Big Ten have a footprint in the state of Virginia. And I think they want in that state. And they don't in the state of North Carolina either. So I think that's what makes those two states so attractive to the SEC and the Big Ten is the fact they don't have a footprint there yet. And it looks like to me this conference expansion right now is all about adding footprints to your league and getting in markets that you're not in. It looks to me like that's a real big focus right now. And, of course, everything else has to go in with that as well. And then I threw in a few other categories that weren't included in either Tony or Pat Forde's data. There's only one program on this list whose campus smells like cow manure, and that would be Virginia Tech. I mean, man, you drive through Blacksburg, you got to roll your windows up, better turn your AC off, or, man, you get that cow manure smell in your car. I mean, it's god-awful, to be honest with you. So Virginia Tech's the only one that meets that criteria. The ugliest uniforms in college football, I mean, who else has an ugly maroon and orange uniform? I mean, give me a break. Could they not have picked better colors? There again, Virginia Tech is the only one who meets that criteria as well. And then you've got a mascot it's a Hokie. There's only one school on here that has a mascot that's absolutely idiotic, and that's a Hokie. I mean, what's a freaking Hokie? It's a turkey, ain't it? A castrated turkey, I guess. I don't know what it is. And then, and last but not least, there's only one program on this list, only one school who eats shit, and that would be Pitt. Now, let's look at a heat map that Mr. Altimore provided for me. Anyway, this is just kind of a brief snapshot if you want to look at this real quick, this heat map that Tony used. Obviously, anything in red is where you fall short of most of your colleagues in the conference. Anything in green you excel in. That's basically the point of this heat map. But anyway, so I want to know your thoughts, Mountaineer Nation. What do you think? And Couz's Corner family, what do you think about this data? Do you agree with Pat Forde's rankings? Do you think West Virginia should be 48th, or do you think they should be higher? Or heck, if you're not a West Virginia fan, do you think they should be lower than 48th? I'm a big boy. I can take it. So let me know. I want to hear your thoughts, too, on the rest of Pat Forde's rankings. Alabama at 10, I think that was kind of surprising to me. Washington was sitting at 15. You'd think the Big Ten would want to bring them in, right? Oregon at 22. Why does the Big Ten not want to bring them in? So it'll be interesting to see what you guys think about these rankings. And also let me know what you think about the rankings I did, and along with, obviously, data that I got from Tony Altimore. I want to hear what you think, your thoughts on that as well. Don't forget my merch store, guys. Link to that's at the top of the description box. I have all kinds of different products to offer. For those of you who have purchased already, thank you. I really appreciate your support. You can also hit the join button below this video to join my channel, become a member, take advantage of multiple perks I have to offer. Shout out to David Cummings, Mountaineer Maniac level member of my channel. Thank you, David. There's also ways you can support my channel, and you can do it for absolutely free. And that is by hitting like, by sharing it, by leaving a comment below, and by subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. All those are free. They only take a second, and they really help out my channel, help with that YouTube algorithm. With that, I really appreciate you tuning into this video. And until the next one, Q Country Roads.